I left at 9:30 in the morning. Few people are about at this time, though an hour earlier the roads would be full of honest commuters marching towards main roads and stations. Legs, cars and bicycles are the only means of transport along these allegedly quiet avenues. Putney is like a lot of suburbs. On the map it has an impressive number of bus and train routes, but in the flesh the blank spaces are more noticeable. Working to a neurotic's timetable, I gave myself 1 hour and 20 minutes to reach the Airbus terminal, 3¼ miles away in Kensington. An energetic man could just about walk it in that time. The bus stop was clear enough, but there was nothing to say which buses stopped there. By word of mouth I learned that I wanted a number 30 to Putney Bridge Underground station. The lady added, sadly, that you could sometimes wait half an hour. I waited a quarter of an hour and went aboard a number 30 at 9:56. London Airport is west of Putney. I was now heading east, in the general direction of the air terminal, and more immediately, Putney Bridge, which is famous for its traffic jams. Every morning and every afternoon, the traffic converges, snarling and frustrated, on this unpopular bridge across the Thames. But I was after the rush hour, and for once the roads were comparatively empty. The conductor advised getting out on the other side of Putney Bridge. Here, there were nice views of the river, but no view at all of Putney Bridge station. However, the steps down from the pavement were unequivocal, and so was the sign at the bottom, where a tunnel leads confidently under the bridge. But the bus stop is several minutes' walk from the station, and the trail petered out again amid unsignposted roads. If there'd been no one to ask, I might have taken a wrong turning, gone left instead of right, and ended up back on Putney Bridge. The station, like the roads, was calm after the rush hour. The booking clerk knew that the way to reach the air terminal was to go to Gloucester Road, which is only 5 stations away. He said that most trains went there direct. After a short pause to interpret the rather confusing arrows, I climbed some more stairs, because in the suburbs the underground runs on the surface. By the time I was on board and the train was ready to go, it was 11 minutes past 10. The airport was further away than ever. Average speed so far was rather less than 2 miles an hour, and far from being neurotic to have left the house as early as 9:30, it was beginning to seem foolhardy to have left it so late. The train from Putney Bridge might have been through to Gloucester Road in the air terminal, but wasn't. So at Earl's Court, half a mile short of the air terminal, I changed again. Apparently, the idea is to wait on the same platform, and within a minute or two a train for Gloucester Road will arrive. But there's another and longer way of going there by underground from Earl's Court, and I took it. I saw Gloucester Road on a wall, and not unnaturally followed the sign. I transferred to another line, this time properly underground. Possibly the boredom of the journey was beginning to tell. Urban travelling had become so tedious, or even downright nasty, that it tends to be accepted as an act of God, almost beyond human intervention. So the traveller retreats into his dreams. I arrived at Gloucester Road just within the hour, at 10:27. So far, the score was 1 bus, 2 trains, 3 staircases, an escalator and a lift. At last, clear signs began to announce the Airbus terminal. But the innocent traveller, if there's still such a person, might be irritated to find that he now has several hundred yards to go before he gets there, on foot, though of course he could always have half a crown's worth of taxi. The Airbus terminal, opened in 1963 to handle 12,000 people a day, is as firmly rooted in the present as bleak stations and bus stops are rooted in the past. At this point, entering the palace via my second escalator, I began to feel less underprivileged, but I wasn't moving much faster. It was now 1 hour and 5 minutes since I left home in Putney, and I travelled 3¼ miles away from London Airport. Average speed in the wrong direction had now risen to about 3 miles an hour. I was accelerating, but slowly. The air terminal, at least on a quiet morning in winter, processes the passengers without delay. The service was good, the signs were clear, and 10 minutes after arriving at the front, I was going out through the rather more utilitarian back, where the airport bus was waiting for the 12-mile journey to the airport. I'd already had several ironical views of aircraft crossing the sky. Now, at last, the jet age was really in sight. By this time, I'd read 40 pages of book, consulted my watch obsessively, and changed my mind 3 times about how much to insure myself for. At 11 o'clock, the bus was on the Hammersmith flyover, exactly 1.5 hours after I left the house, and exactly 2.25 miles north of it. A fast walker who'd kept going in the right direction would have sighted London Airport by now. We sighted it about 11:15. The British European Airways building for domestic flights is rather less ornate than the air terminal back in the middle of London. In the lounge is an information desk, and behind the desk they display, for those with sharp eyes, the list of coming flights. The Manchester plane was proudly announced at 11:32, and we all joined the queue, just to remind us that although we were about to embark on the miracle of powered flight, we were still subject to regulation. Between the lounge and the plane is quite a lot of concrete ramp, and when you walk down it, London Airport provides the anticlimax of another bus. By the time everyone was on board, we were packed in like cattle. It was like being back on the underground in the rush hour. I tried to feel charitable, but without success. The plane was a Vanguard, and it was finally airborne just after noon, about 10 minutes late because of traffic congestion. The passengers included 1 or 2 women, but it was more or less a businessman's special, catching up on its newspapers. We were, for the moment, cosmopolitan. There were men from Ealing and men hot from Chicago. After we'd been gone a few minutes, they kindly sent a sheet of paper round to say we were cruising at 12,000 feet at 400 miles an hour. England unrolled satisfactorily. There was just time to wonder why trains have ticket inspectors and airlines have girls when we arrived at Manchester Airport at 12:40, 38 minutes after leaving London. The airport buildings look agreeably modern, and this time we were close enough to them to walk. Inside, the decor is even more contemporary, if that's the word, than it is at the air terminal in London. 7 minutes flat saw me through the warm, air-conditioned machine with my bag restored, heading for the last but one stage of the journey, a bus to the centre of Manchester. This took me into Piccadilly, where the conductor advised a short walk to the main bus station. Speed was back to normal. I was nearly there, but I was caught in the urban glue pot. At the bus station, there was some confusion about which was the next to leave in my direction. The information desk said one thing, and the buses themselves did another. But eventually, we arrived at Dickenson Road, the stop for the BBC, 20 minutes after leaving the airport bus. It was enough to make the heart beat faster. The journey had covered 185 miles. There had been 7 sets of stairs, 4 escalators, 1 lift and 1 ramp. And it took me just 4 hours and 20 minutes, door to door, at a consolidated tomorrow's world speed of 42.5 miles an hour.